the truth of the matter is that there is no hard evidence that carbon dioxide is causing anything to happen to the temperature of the Earth. There's none. It is totally theoretical. Now we've got a situation where politics and science are being confused with each other. People are saying that there's a consensus that humans are causing a global catastrophe, a global, extreme weather and all this stuff, that it's caused. So there's a consensus, is there? Well, that's not how science works. I mean, if you look at any invention or discovery that's been done, that's why there's a Nobel Prize to give to individuals who have exceptionally discovered something. Things aren't discovered by committees. Yeah. Rules are made by committees after the discovery has been made. But to separate science from politics is absolutely essential, and they're being confused totally in the Western world. I think that, I don't want to live in Russia or China particularly, although Moscow is such a beautiful city. I don't want to live there particularly because of their political structure, but I think they do a better job in some ways of discerning the difference between knowledge and politics. And because politics is really just about policy. But if you make policy based on bad science, you get bad policy. You can even get bad policy based on good science if you're not smart enough. But the truth of the matter is that there is no hard evidence that carbon dioxide is causing anything to happen to the temperature of the Earth. There's none. It is totally theoretical. But the reason I called my book Fake Invisible Catastrophes and Threats of Doom is because they are focusing on things that nobody can see and making up stories about.
You can't disprove it, or it'll be the very hardest thing to disprove. It's
impossible because you can't see it. And science is, the first rule of science is observation. You have to observe something, not just, it doesn't have to be with your eyes. It can be with a microscope or with a microphone, or it can be with any tool you can imagine. Radiation is the other one besides carbon dioxide. Those are the two main ones that are in the invisible category. So they blame everything on carbon dioxide practically. And then the other category is remote. And that's why polar bears and coral reefs are the icons, because again, hardly anybody can see them or go there. No, who goes to the North Pole and counts all the polar bears? When in fact, why is it that the media never mentions the treaty that was signed in 1973? Like it wasn't in 1,000 years ago. It was in 1973. The treaty was signed among all the polar nations, which are 6, to end the unrestricted hunting of polar bears in 1973. Because wildlife biologists went to the governments and said it's too easy for rich people to go up there in a plane and hire a guide and get a polar bear or two. And there was no restriction. They could take as many as they wanted. So that was ended and enforced and has been ever since. And that's why the polar bear population has grown 3 to 5 times larger than it was then.
Which no one will ever believe, because all we see is photographs of lone polar bears on sheets of ice that are about to
melt. Yes. Their common name is sea bears, as in SEA bears. When they jump off an iceberg and start swimming, they know where they're going. It's not as if they're going to swim out to sea and drown. More people drown every year than polar bears do. And, it is ridiculous to suggest that a polar bear doesn't know how to figure out things. And you see, we know that polar bears can survive through much warmer periods than what we're in now, because the 3 interglacial periods that came before this one, which is known as the Holocene, it's about 10,000 years into it now. And so it's about time for it to end, like in the next hundreds of years somewhere. We're in an ice age, but the glacial maximums, of which there have been 40 or more, have all occurred within the last 2.6 million years in the Pleistocene Ice Age. We are now in an interglacial period, but it's still colder than it was for the 250 million years prior to that. Everything is upside down, Nadia. Everything's upside down. They're saying there's too much CO2 when there's never been so little. They're saying it's too hot when it's actually colder than it's been almost the whole time of the Earth right now, because that's why all that ice is on the poles. There's a lot, and they show a picture of the ice in the summer after 6 months of sunshine 24 hours a day. But in the winter, every square inch of the Arctic Ocean, plus ocean down even further south than that, is frozen, solid. They never show you that one. It's still that way every winter. And they've got people thinking that the ice is disappearing in the Arctic and the Antarctic, which it's not.